the sky vanishes. The sun is not blocked by a cloud, but eclipsed by a living continent of flesh and bone, its head moving serenely through the highest canopy. The ground shudders with each step, a quiet tremor that announces the presence of a god. This is Argentinosaurus, the Titan of Patagonia. But how could such an animal come to be? What was it like to live inside a body weighing up to 75 tons, propelled by a heart the size of a small car? What colossal struggles defined its journey from a fragile hatchling to the undisputed, walking epicenter of its world? Its life was a voyage of unimaginable scale, a constant battle against gravity, hunger, and the predators brave enough to challenge it. To witness more sagas from this lost age, we invite you to join our expedition by subscribing. Now, let us begin our journey. Our story begins 95 million years ago, in the heart of the late Cretaceous period. The land we now call Patagonia, Argentina, was a world built for giants. A vast, warm floodplain stretched to the horizon, crisscrossed by lazy, sediment-rich rivers, and carpeted with forests of towering araucaria trees and immense prairies of ferns. Here, under the relentless southern sun, lies one of nature's greatest gambles, a sauropod nesting ground. As far as the eye can see, thousands of round, football-sized eggs lie half-buried in shallow pits dug into the sun-baked soil. This is not a nursery filled with caring parents. It is a lottery. The titanic adults who laid these eggs are long gone. Their strategy not to protect their young, but to overwhelm the local predators with sheer, unimaginable numbers. Inside one of these eggs, a tiny heart beats frantically. After months of silent incubation, a small creature breaks free from its calcareous prison. This is our protagonist. Let us call him Titan. He is no bigger than a domestic cat, a fragile being of just a few kilograms. He emerges into a world of bewildering sounds and smells, his skin still wet, his long neck and legs shaky and uncertain. Instinct, ancient and powerful, screams one command: move. The open nesting ground is a death trap. All around him, the first wave of predators has already arrived. A Scorpio venator, its name meaning scorpion hunter, darts between the nests, its serrated teeth snapping up disoriented hatchlings. The air is filled with the panicked squeaks of Titan's doomed siblings. The odds are astronomically grim. Perhaps less than 1% of these hatchlings will survive their first day. Titan, driven by a primal fear he does not understand, stumbles forward. His journey is not measured in kilometers, but in desperate, lung-bursting meters. His only goal is the dark, sheltering line of the fern prairie on the horizon. He narrowly avoids the snapping jaws of a prehistoric crocodile as he scrambles across a small stream, his tiny body a mere morsel for the river's inhabitants. This brutal beginning is the likely reality for a creature like Argentinosaurus huinculensis, the Argentine lizard, named for the country of its discovery, and huinculensis for the nearby town of Plaza Huinku, where its first colossal bones were unearthed by a local farmer in 1987. Unlike elephants, which invest years of care in a single calf, these titans were our strategists. They laid hundreds of eggs, abandoning them to fate, banking on the slim statistical chance that a lucky few, like Titan, would survive the gauntlet. Finally, exhausted and terrified, Titan stumbles into the dense undergrowth of the fern prairie. The giant fronds close over his head, hiding him from the sky and the horrors of the nesting grounds. He has survived his birth. He has won the first most dangerous lottery of his life. But for a creature destined for gigantism, survival is not a single event. It is a race. A race to eat, a race to grow, a race against the giant shadows that patrol this land. The greatest struggle of his life had only just begun. For the young Titan, life simplified to a single, all-consuming purpose: growth. In this world, size was life, size was safety, and growth required fuel. His days were a continuous, methodical search for food. From sunrise to sunset, he ate. He stripped leaves from giant ferns with his simple, peg-like teeth, swallowed mouthfuls of cycads without chewing, and used his lengthening neck to reach the nutrient-rich lower branches of ancient conifers. He was a machine built for consumption, a furnace that needed to be constantly stoked. This explosive growth, from a few kilograms at birth to several tons in just his first decade, seems biologically impossible. But Argentinosaurus and its titanosaurs cousins possessed a suite of secret evolutionary weapons. Let's look inside. How could it support a neck longer than a bus and pump blood to its brain? A 3D reconstruction of its colossal vertebrae reveals they are not solid bone. They are mostly hollow, filled with intricate, honeycomb-like air sacs. This astonishingly advanced respiratory system, much like that of a modern bird, was connected directly to its lungs. It not only made its skeleton deceptively light for its size, but also supercharged its body with a constant, one-way flow of oxygen, fueling a metabolic rate far higher than any modern reptile's. And what about digestion? Its simple teeth were useless for chewing. The real work happened here, deep inside a powerful, muscular gizzard within its gut. Like many herbivores, Titan would swallow stones, gastroliths, which acted as a living stone mill. As the gizzard muscles contracted, these stones would grind tons of tough, fibrous vegetation into a digestible slurry. It was an internal fermentation factory on an industrial scale. But as Titan grew, so did the shadows that stalked him. He was no longer threatened by the small fry of the nesting grounds, but by something far worse, an apex predator perfectly evolved to hunt giants. A pack of Mapusaurus rosae. These were Carcharodontosaurids, the shark-toothed lizards, and fossil evidence strongly suggests they were social hunters, perhaps the only predators on the continent capable of tackling a young sauropod. The first time Titan witnessed their work, he was frozen with a new kind of terror. He watched from the cover of the trees as a pack of 7 Mapusaurus systematically isolated a juvenile Argentinosaurus slightly larger than himself. There was no single, clean kill. It was a chaotic, brutal assault of 1,000 cuts, their blade-like teeth slashing at the legs and flanks, designed to cause massive blood loss and exhaustion. Years later, Titan, now a formidable subadult weighing over 20 tons, found himself the target. The pack emerged from the tree line, fanning out, their movements eerily coordinated. They did not try to overpower him with brute force. They were there to bleed him dry. A Mapusaurus lunged, its mouth full of serrated blades, tearing a long, deep gash in his flank. Titan bellowed in a mixture of pain and rage, swinging his immense, muscular tail like a wrecking ball, forcing the attacker to leap back. But another immediately attacked from the other side. It was a terrifying dance of death. Titan's only hope was to protect his vulnerable legs and underbelly, using his immense bulk as a moving shield and his tail as his only weapon. The ground shook with the weight of the struggle. The assault lasted for what felt like an eternity. Finally, Battered and bleeding from a dozen wounds, Titan saw an opportunity. He charged, thundering towards the safety of a deep river, its steep, muddy banks too treacherous for the predators to follow. He had survived. The deep wounds would eventually heal, leaving behind a network of pale scars, a permanent, silvery reminder of the evolutionary arms race he was a part of. He was no longer a juvenile. He was a survivor, hardened and educated by battle. His size was now a formidable defense, but he was not yet invincible. The final stage of his race to greatness was still ahead. What brought you to your passion for dinosaurs in the prehistoric world? Share your story. We'd love to hear it. Decades have passed. The scarred survivor is now a king. Titan has reached the biological limits of life on land, a scale that defies imagination. He is a full-grown adult Argentinosaurus weighing more than 70 tons. His back rises higher than a two-story building, a vast, moving plateau of muscle and bone. His footsteps are no longer hurried or fearful. They are the slow, deliberate rhythm of the earth itself, each one a minor seismic event. He has become so immense that he is now an ecosystem unto himself. Small, feathered pterosaurs perch on the highlands of his back, using him as a mobile watchtower to spot fish in the rivers below. His passage through the dense conifer forests forges new highways for smaller herbivores, opening up the dark woods to the life-giving Sunday. He does not rule by force, but by the sheer, undeniable gravity of his presence. One hot afternoon, in a vast open floodplain, he smells a familiar, metallic scent on the wind. It is the scent of sharp-toothed lizards. A pack of Mapusaurus, 10 strong and battle-hardened, emerges from the heat haze. The pack leader, old and scarred itself, perhaps remembers a time when creatures like Titan were on the menu. They fan out, their ancient hunter's instincts taking over. They begin to circle. But something is different. Titan does not run. He does not even bellow a challenge. He simply stops stripping leaves from a towering tree and turns his colossal head to face them. He holds their gaze. There is no fear in his small eyes. There is no anger. There is only the quiet, unshakable confidence of a mountain against the wind. The lead Mapusaurus stares at the sheer cliffs of his legs, each one thicker than the trunk of an ancient tree. It looks at the tail, a continent of muscle capable of shattering bone with a single, lazy sweep. It calculates the odds. Their blade-like teeth, so effective against a juvenile, would barely trouble this giant. An attack now would not be a hunt. It would be suicide. The pale scars that crisscross Titan's flank are a testament to his past struggles, but his current size is a declaration of absolute victory in the evolutionary arms race. After a long, tense moment, the predator gives a low growl of acknowledgement, or perhaps frustration. The hunt is over before it began. With a subtle signal, the pack turns and melts back into the horizon in search of younger, smaller, more vulnerable prey. Titan watches them go, then calmly turns back to his meal. He has won. He has completed the race. He is now too big to fail. This was the pinnacle. A life of peace earned through a youth of constant struggle. A ruler whose kingdom was the horizon and whose reign was defined not by battles won, but by battles that no longer needed to be fought. The sun sets on the plains, casting the long, magnificent shadow of a Titan, a living monument to life's ambition to grow, to endure, and to overcome. To recreate this journey spanning millions of years, we've studied a vast amount of material. If you appreciate that effort, Please leave a like to support the team. But no king reigns forever. Time, the invisible and undefeated predator, stalks even the largest of beasts. For Titan, nearly a century of life has passed. He is old. His immense weight, once the very source of his invincibility, is now a crushing burden on his ancient joints. His movements are slow, pained. The world around him, a world he had mastered, is changing. A great drought, a cyclical curse of this land, has seized the plains. The lush fern prairies have turned to brown, brittle dust. The rivers have shrunk to muddy trickles. For a creature that must consume tons of vegetation and drink hundreds of liters of water each day, this is a slow, inexorable death sentence. Driven by a thirst that eclipses all other instincts, Titan begins a slow, final pilgrimage towards the memory of a great river, a place that has always meant life. He arrives not at a river, but at a wide canyon of cracked mud and sun-bleached sand. The last of his colossal strength leaves him. He bellows one last, low, infrasonic call, a sound that is not of pain or fear, but of profound weariness. Then, the great Titan lies down for the final time. The tremors cease. The living mountain is still. Titan, the unassailable ruler of the Cretaceous plains, is dead, but his story was far from over. It was merely entering its longest and most patient chapter, the journey to immortality. The dry Patagonian air slows the process of decay, mummifying the flesh around the immense bones. When the seasons finally turn, the drought breaks with a furious vengeance. The dry riverbed becomes a raging torrent of water, mud, and rock. The flash flood engulfs Titan's remains, burying his colossal skeleton under a thick, protective blanket of sediment, sealing it from the world. He has found his tomb. Millions of years pass in the blink of a geological eye. The pressure from tons of overlying rock intensifies. Mineral-rich water seeps into the porous bone, and a silent miracle occurs. Molecule by molecule, the original organic material is replaced by stone. A single vertebra, taller than a human being, is perfectly preserved. Titan's body is being forged into a new kind of existence. He is becoming a fossil. 95 million years after Titan's last breath, the world is unrecognizable. The Andes have risen, the climate has cooled, and the land is an arid steppe. Wind and erosion have slowly peeled back the layers of time, exposing a secret. In 1987, a local farmer, Guillermo Heredia, was riding across his land when he spotted what he thought was a giant, petrified log. It was, in fact, the fossilized shin bone of a creature beyond his wildest imaginings. The news brought paleontologists from around the world. The excavation was a monumental task, more like quarrying stone than digging for bones. They unearthed a vertebra the size of a car tire and a thigh bone taller than a man. They were not just digging up a dinosaur. They were unearthing the ghost of a giant, the first concrete evidence of a super titan that shattered our understanding of the limits of life. Titan's bones, after an eternity of silence, were ready to speak again. His epic life, a story of struggle and triumph on a scale almost too grand to comprehend, was about to be told. So concludes the Epic of Titan, a journey from a fragile hatchling to a living mountain, and finally, to a timeless echo in stone. His life, and the life of his species, represents one of the greatest achievements in the 4-billion-year history of life on Earth, a pinnacle of biological engineering that may never be seen again. The bones of Argentinosaurus are more than just the records of a large animal. They are blueprints of the impossible made possible. They force us to ask fundamental questions about the very limits of evolution on a planet with Earth's gravity. They are a testament to a time when the world was warmer, lusher, and the ecosystem could support entire herds of creatures that defied our sense of scale. Its bones, now painstakingly assembled and displayed in museums, are the final, silent testament to a life of struggle and dominion. They are not the remains of a monster, but of a survivor on the grandest imaginable stage. They are a singular epic from an age when giants truly ruled the earth, reminding us that our world was once home to beings that dwarf our wildest myths and legends. We've followed the journey of Argentinosaurus. Now, the power is in your hands. Comment below with the name of an ancient ruler you want us to recreate in our next documentary. The species with the most requests will be our next protagonist. To ensure you don't miss that chronicle, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the lost world.